Good afternoon, distinguished guests and colleagues. I'm Professor Wu Shenkuo from Beijing Normal University. Welcome to the Day Zero event on legalization of data governance, hosted by the Bureau of Internet Rules and Regulations of Cyberspace Administration of China. With the deepening of globalization and digitalization, the flow and utilization of data has become one of the key drivers of economic innovation and social development. In the face of the development opportunities and security risks associated with the massive processing and application of data, people in all regions of the world are increasingly and widely recognizing the importance of value and fair and effectiveness of data governance in promoting public well-being and sustainable development, as well as the need for the comprehensive ecological cultivation and beginning rule of law safeguards for future-oriented data governance. This event is aiming to bring together stakeholders from government, civil society, technical community, and the private sector to exchange insights on the current status of development and evaluation of global data applications and data governance, to jointly examine and judge the various important concerns and challenges in data governance in various countries, and to jointly explore ways of realizing the rule of law in data governance that are beneficial to safeguarding the common values of human beings. Now, let's start the event with the first session of keynote speech. First of all, let's welcome Mr. Tang Lei, Deputy Director General of Bureau of Internet Laws and Regulations of Cyberspace Administration of China.
Distinguished guests and friends, good afternoon. Welcome to the Internet Governance Forum and to the Day Zero event on the legalization of data governance. Not long ago, when extending congratulations via video to the 2024 World Internet Conference Wuzhen Summit, President Xi Jinping noted that we should see the trends of digitalization, networking, and intelligentization, embrace innovation as a primary driver, uphold security as a baseline requirement, and pursue inclusiveness as a core value. Efforts must be accelerated to promote innovative, secure, and inclusive development in cyberspace, working together to usher in a brighter digital future. Today, we are gathering here to jointly discuss issues related to data governance, which are of great practical significance. This year marks the 30th anniversary of China's first full connection to the Internet and also the 30th anniversary of the beginning of China's law-based cyberspace governance. Over the past 3 decades, China has committed itself to law-based cyberspace governance, ensuring that the Internet develops within the confines of the law. The legalization of data governance is an essential component of promoting the law-based cyberspace governance, and also a solid guarantee for building up China's strength in cyberspace. China has consistently committed itself to place equal emphasis on development and security, establishing and improving the legal system for data governance. Firstly, China has enacted the Cyber Security Law, Data Security Law, and Personal Information Protection Law, providing basic provisions for data security and personal information protection systems. Secondly, China has released the provisions for promoting and regulating the cross-border flow of data, fostering the free flow of data in a lawful and orderly manner. Thirdly, China has released several provisions on the management of automobile data security and several regulations to build the data security management systems in some key areas. Fourthly, China has issued the Global Initiative on Data Security and the Global Cross-Border Data Flow Cooperation Initiative, calling on all countries to build an open and mutually beneficial landscape for international cooperation. Especially in September this year, the State Council of China enacted regulations on network data security management, providing a strong legal guarantee for promoting the lawful, reasonable, and effective utilization of network data. Firstly, the regulations put forward the overall requirements and general provisions for network data security. Secondly, the regulations further specify rules concerning personal information protection. Thirdly, the regulations improve mechanisms for the management of important data security. Firstly, the regulations enhance the provisions on security management of cross-border network data flows. In recent years, with the advancement of new technologies and applications such as artificial intelligence, the volume of data has been growing rapidly, accompanied by escalating security risks. Striking a balance between high-quality development and high-level security has become a common challenge all over the world. It has become increasingly crucial to promote data governance by law-based approaches. To address this, the following actions are necessary. Firstly, improve the legal system for data governance. Establish and improve the foundation rules for data governance and address the data security challenges brought about by the development of new technologies. Secondly, strengthen theoretical support for law-based data governance. Promote the development of the theoretical system for data governance, ensuring a mutual relationship between theory and practice. Thirdly, strengthen international exchanges and cooperation on the legalization of data governance. Create a win-win international cooperation pattern for data governance. Colleagues, data governance is a shared challenge for countries worldwide. I encourage that all the guests here today to conduct in-depth discussions around the relevant topics, jointly discuss the legal solutions for data governance, work together to promote the legalization of global data governance, and ensure that the benefits of digital advancements are shared by people worldwide. In closing, I wish today's event a full success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tang, for the relevant experience of China. Now I give the floor to Professor Wolfgang Kleinwachter, Professor Emeritus at the University of Aarhus of Denmark. Please.
It works. It works. It works. It works. Oh, you can change the channel 4. The channel 4. Maybe you can change the channel 4. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation, and thank you all the Cyber Administration of China for organizing this important workshop. Mr. Tang Li, in his opening speech, mentioned two very important concepts. One is education, and the other one is collaboration. I think the whole internet is a permanent learning process. So we know more than we knew 20 years ago, and we will know a lot more in 20 years from now. So that means it's a never-ending story, and it will continue. And the other one is collaboration. So that means no one is able to manage all the things, with one shot. So there is no silver bullet. So there is no one road. So there are many roads which has to be taken, and the only way to manage all the forthcoming problems is by collaboration of all stakeholders in their respective roles. I think this is the beauty of the Internet Governance Forum. This was the beauty of the outcome of the World Summit on the Information Society 20 years ago. That it was a compromise at this time. Some governments wanted to have private sector leadership, others wanted to have governmental leadership, and the compromise was we need all stakeholders. So the internet and all these new achievements are not for leadership, they are for collaboration. So that means we have to work hand in hand in their respective roles. Governments are different than the private sector. Technical community is different from civil society, but we can manage the problems of the future only if we work hand in hand. I think this is the big message, and I'm very happy that Mr. Tang Li mentioned these two concepts, education and collaboration, as the main guidance. As an academic person, I'm dealing with definitions. So this is a core work of academics, and the title of this session is Legalization of Data Governance. So I want to ask, what is data? And what is governance? So let's start with data. So 20 years ago, I was in another workshop where we said, okay, data is the starting point. That's the resource, that's the raw resource, the raw material. Data leads to information, information leads to knowledge, and in the best case, knowledge leads to wisdom. So that's why some people said, okay, we start with the data society, then we have the information society. It was the World Summit on the Information Society, but we have to move upwards to the knowledge society, and some people say that, and the wisdom society. This is a little bit idealistic, but as an academic person, I think I'm allowed to think in idealistic terms. But more complicated is the term of governance. So this is the Internet Governance Forum. I think internet governance was the term we used 20 years ago because the internet was brand new. A lot of people did not understand what the internet is. Is it a technical issue? Is this an economic issue? Is this a political issue? So it was very complex. And I was a member of this UN Working Group on Internet Governance, which was tasked by Kofi Annan to propose a definition. So just to define and to enable governments and other stakeholders to have an understanding what internet governance means. So the definition we proposed, and which is reflected in the Tunis agenda, had three main elements. The first thing is internet governance means the involvement of all stakeholders. What I said already, so it's not only one stakeholder approach, it's a multi-stakeholder approach. Second thing is governance means that you have to share. You have to share protocols, you have to share codes, you have to share regulations and decision making. And the third thing is we proposed a layered approach. We made a differentiation between the evolution and the use of the internet. At this time, the majority of the problems were with the technical layer, the evolution of the internet. And the use of the internet is related to the so-called internet-related public policy issue. Today, the majority of problems is on the application layer and not on the technical layer. I think a lot of issues on the technical layer have been cleared. It's not a question anymore. So that means 20 years ago, it was a technical problem with some political implications. Today, it's a political problem with a technical component. And this makes it rather different. So what means this governance now? I think today there is a confusion because everything is governance. We have here data governance in today's workshop. We have internet governance. People in the cybersecurity field speak about cyber governance. We have now AI governance. We have ICT governance. We have IoT governance for the Internet of Things. So there's a huge confusion, and what governance you mean? So data, internet, AI, and things like that. So I think more or less this is all the same soup, because this is governance in the digital age. So, and governance in the digital age means you have to have a specific solution governance model for each of the specific issue. There is no one size fits all that you say, this is the governance for the data or this is the governance for AI. You have to identify the problem, what do you want to govern, what is the subject, and then to build the governance model around the system. And this is complicated because in this layered system, you have on the one hand a universal set of norms and principles and codes. The technical layer, this is one world, one internet. But on the application layer, you have 193 national jurisdictions. So we have a problem, 193 sovereign nations, national jurisdictions, but one world. So, and I think this is a challenge, that you have a contradiction and you have to manage the contradiction. You cannot settle this. So that means a settlement would mean the whole world would be ruled only by technical codes. This is an illusion. The other alternative, the whole world would be ruled only by one country. This is also an illusion. So that means you have to find a compromise. And this is the challenge. And to meet these challenges, you need more discussion, more dialogue among all stakeholders. And that's why the Internet Governance Forum is such a wonderful platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Klein-Wachter, for your wonderful sharing. Next speaker, let's invite Mr. Shi Jianzhong, Professor and Vice President of China University of Political Science and Law. Please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very delighted to have the opportunity to visit this ancient and magnificent city, Riyadh, to attend the panel with you to discuss the topic that is both cutting edge and challenging, namely data governance under the rule of law. As we know, the mission of law is to adjust social relations by allocating rights, obligations, and responsibility, even liability, among different social entities in order to maintain the security, justice, and efficiencies of these relations. We have entered a digital age. The continuous advancement of ITCI technology is propelling home being in construction of digital economy, digital government, digital society. In the digital age, the subject identities of various social relations are being digitalized and datafied, such as nature firms and government departments. The behavior of various subjects are also being digitalized and datafied, such as individual consumption, digital transaction of firms, and digital government affairs. And the objects are also being digitalized and datafied, such as the digitalization and the datafication of the goods, the services, even equipment. In the digital age, social relations are also being digitalized and datafied, such as between individuals, between firms, between the individual and firms, between individual and governments, between firm and the government departments, and among the government departments, etc. Consequently, in the digital age, the mechanism, tools, and modes by which law adjusts the social relationship must be changed accordingly, which poses a lot of new challenges and opportunities. The challenges brought by digital intelligence technology to the law mainly refer to the need for the law to confront unprecedented new issues, such as how to configure the rights related with data, how to ensure data security, how to maintain the data sovereignty, how to make equal use of data resources, how to protect personal privacy, how to protect digital human rights, and how to regulate data processing, including data collection, storage, use, processing, transmission, provision, disclosure, and deletion. The opportunities brought by digital intelligence technology to law are primarily reflected in the fact that the digital intelligence technology can serve as a tool for rule of law, internalized and embedded in the rules of law process in real time, therefore empowering all the aspects of legislation, law enforcement, and justice. Achieving a higher level of scientific legislation, strict law enforcement, and fair justice, while seeing the opportunities that digital intelligence technology brings to the law is a great challenge of itself. So we must acknowledge that in the current era of rapid advancement in the AI, the challenge that the digital intelligence technology poses to the law outweighs the opportunities. Now, we can find an interesting phenomenon that is, on the one hand, digital intelligence technology is creating new legal problems. On the other hand, digital intelligence technology is helping the law to solve the problems. In other words, digital intelligence technology and the data are both objects and tools of the rule of law. This is a special phenomenon that data governance must be aware of. Certainly, it is important to recognize that data we discuss today refers to electronic records of information, that is, electronic data, compared to the other forms of information recording, such as paper-based forms. Electronic data has several unique characteristics, such as technical characteristics of reproducibility, economic characteristic of non-arrival, and legal characteristics of non-exclusivity. We believe that security is the prerequisite for development, and development is a guarantee for security. When it comes to the data governance, it is about both security and development. In other words, ensuring security and development. In other words, ensuring security and promoting development are not opposite, and this is no irreconcilable contradiction. And so one of the goals of data governance in Syrian security means protecting individual privacy, commercial security, and national security in the processing, developing, and utilizing personal data, corporate data, and the government data. In this regard, the China government has enacted corresponding laws such as cyber security laws, personal information protection law, and data security laws. Mr. Tang Lei has already touched upon this in his speech just now, so I will not elaborate it further. As one of the objectives of the data governance, promoting development entails effectively developing and utilizing personal data, corporate data, and government data, while protecting individual privacy, commercial security, and national security. Promoting development means make use of data and digital intelligence technology to foster technological advancement, economic prosperity, social development, and well-being of the people. For this purpose, Chinese government has also made corresponding provision in many laws, such as the Civil Code. Moreover, it is formulating a number of laws and regulations to facilitate development and utilization of data. For instance, the Chinese government places great emphasis on fair competition in digital economy, specifically stipulating in the anti-monopoly law that undertakings shall not use data and algorithms, technology, capital advantages, and platform rules to engage in monopolistic behavior prohibited by this law. As we know, in every country, the government holds largest amount and the highest quality of data. If effectively developed and utilized, it can empower business developments. To this end, the Chinese government has formulated the regulation on fair competition review in accordance with the anti-monopoly law, which can guarantee fair and more discriminative exploration and utilization of government data by all type of firms. In the processing using data security and promoting development of the digital economy, Chinese law is continuously improving system and mechanism for the governance, while addressing the challenges brought by digital intelligence technology. China is actively using this technology to empower the legal system. For example, China has not only established the three specialized internet courts, but also actively employs procedural rules of digital intelligence technology to enable justice. These rules include online mediation rules, online litigation rules, and online court rules, ensuring that the law is implemented more justly, efficiently, and with great integrity. In summary, data governance requires support of law and is inseparably therefore, only organic integration of law and digital intelligence technology can build more scientifically sound and reasonable structure and mechanism for data governance and achieve positive interaction between higher standard data security and higher quality digital economic development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Shi. Now let's turn to online speaker, Mr. Jose Roberto Andrade, immediate past Deputy Consul General, Consulate General of the Federative Republic of Brazil, Shanghai. Please.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me well?
It's okay.
Good
please.
morning. Thank you. Good morning from Brasilia, Cao Shanghai. It's a pleasure to join this event online from far away. and I'm happy to see many familiar faces. First of all, let me thank the friends and authorities from the Bureau of Internet Laws and the Cyberspace Administration of China, in special Professor Wu Shankuo, with whom we have from Brazil a long time collaboration, but also my fellow speakers and authorities, Mr. Tang Lei, Professor Kleinwester, and Professor Jian Zhong. I would like to introduce to you today some examples of how we in Brazil are working on our internal governance, on the structuring of our data environment, and also how this will serve as a support and also a way for Brazil to contribute to international, to global governance. And I liked very much, as Professor Kleinwester gave the example that, well, we have so many governances, but it's digital age, governance in the digital age, and then we have several different approaches. Uh, the examples I will give, I could divide in first, where are we coming from right now, late 2024? What kind of structures we have? And then I would like to speak about, well, the consolidation of our data protection law, the LGPD, and our National Authority of Data Protection. Also, I would like to give an example as a second, number two, of our AI law, which is currently in fast development. And third, our views, our current discussion for data economy policies. So just last month, we completed 4 years of the implementation of Brazil's National Data Protection Authority, ANPD. ANPD is the most robust data authority and instance in Brazil. It was created because of the provisions that we had in LGPD, our national data law, which was approved in 2021, but has a background of discussion since 2018. Well, Brazil, as you know, is one of the 10 biggest economies in the world. Our population is one that spends most hours a day online. We are a leader in terms of users in all platforms, especially now with e-commerce, with a strong connection to Chinese companies as well. So we are a big data producer, but also at the same time, we have in all fields of our country, especially, let's say, in agriculture, in biodiversity, a wealth. I always compare that to the Amazon forest. We have an Amazon forest of data, of wealth. So it's our duty to organize internally and promote development and new internal governance, I would say, but that reflects our values. So one key element that I would say, even before I deep into the three examples, all discussions in Brazil are very much permeated by inclusion. So we have private sector, civil society is a strong player in all discussions regarding our data laws and our frameworks, and also the need to have people at the center, the human beings at the center. As Professor Wu Shankuo also said, well-being and development. So inclusion, people, human values at the center, and development and well-being. That is very much the spirit, and we can find many of these provisions at LGPD, as I said 4 years ago, and now with the National Data Protection Authority. A report, a very extensive report, has just been published. It's available online, but unfortunately, so far only in Portuguese, but I hope very soon in English as well, which gives a full vision of how ANPD, our national authority, has been working. First, in giving guidance and recommendations and let's say soft norms as well to private sector and data actors. I mean, companies and public institutions and others. So ANPD has been working actively and has already consolidated in line with other exchanges with other legal environments abroad, but has consolidated a robust set of norms and also publications for guidance for our data players or actors. At the same time, we have at the National Data Authority improved the number of people. We are still building the capacity. Currently, ANPD, according to the report, has 150 employees. We still don't have a career of specialized people inside the agency, but the idea is to further professionalize that. And I would say ANPD is our main vehicle for implementation of data policies in Brazil. And also, as one of its reports, we call it international data transfers, or, well, very much like the cross-border data transfer that is at the center of many discussions. So this is the key platform for us to establish international cooperation. At the same time, number two, we have just 5 days ago approved at the Senate. Brazil legislation has two levels, the Senate and the House of Representatives. We have just approved the new project for AI law. This is the result of years of discussion, which, if we see in a timeline, has increasingly absorbed and included new actors, especially civil society. Now, it has had a very strong contribution. One of the key aspects, let me say, is, for example, the use of copyright material for training models. Our artistic and writers associations have been very, very active, and we are working. We don't expect to have a final model. I think right now nobody can expect to have a final model, of course, because the AI environment is a fast changing one. But we do want to have something that reflects our values and is operational. So the AI law will now go to the House of Representatives for further consolidation. There might be some modification, but we expect that in the course of 2025, we will have another tool, another legal framework, together with the data protection law from 2021, that will give more robust legal framework for us internally to organize ourselves, this wealth of data, but also to promote our international cooperation. As a third level that I would like to enhance, our Ministry of Industry, and this is very much connected with all the international collaboration, has already started organizing a future of coming public consultation for a national data economy policy. This is very much aligned with what we see in other countries of using data, unlocking the power of data, unlocking the value of data to promote, well, economic competitiveness, better products, better business models, but also, as I said in the beginning, oriented, aimed at people-centered development and reflecting values. So this is the very early stage of consultations. We will soon have something published and in the press, but it has been announced already that from the industry part, and this is very important now, especially, I would say, with China as one of our main investors in Brazil, but also the just celebrated Mercosur, our trade bloc in South America, agreement with the European Union for us to attract new business or partnerships. And the data economy policy promises a lot of future, let's say, potential and very good results as well. As well, we have to discuss a lot of, I would say, elements that will serve as base for this data economy development. In China, for example, you have Shanghai Data Exchange and the local data exchanges all over. That is a fantastic example of how data assets can generate value, even being as I saw in Shanghai, data can be declared in the balance sheet of companies. So this is one very good example. We will certainly take into account all international experiences. We aim at have more and more delegations traveling and learning about the experience, not only of China, but also European Union and other partner countries. But I see a very positive horizon. This is, I would say, is more medium and longer term, but a very positive element as well. So in conclusion, I don't want to extend my time, although I think we can have an extensive discussion and very productive. These three elements, the consolidation and strengthening of our national data authority, the coming approval of our AI law, which, I mean, with flexibilities to be adapted, to be in line with what we have to be prepared for, and always people-centered, with a vision of protection of vulnerable groups, rights, promotion and protection of human rights in the digital space, and our coming economic oriented with competitiveness, national data economy policy. I think these three levels can give a very good vision of how Brazil is moving. Of course, as a diplomat, to conclude, I would say Brazil is very active, has been very active, and will continue to be very active in engaging to promote an organized order that we have to build in collaboration, government to government, government within international organizations. And I congratulate all of you for organizing and participating on events like this, where we have the opportunity to exchange and share, and including other key stakeholders like civil society and private sector. Thank you very much, and I look forward to participate further in the discussions and benefit from this event. Thank you. 谢谢你。
Many thanks for Mr. Jose, which provides us with a new perspective. Thanks again for all speakers of the first session. Next is the second session of roundtable discussion. Now let's welcome Mr. Daniel Sun, Director of Center for Technology, Robotics, Artificial Intelligence and Law Studies, National University of Singapore. Please.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to thank Professor Wu from the Beijing Normal University for this very kind invitation, as well as the UN Internet Governance Forum and the Cyberspace Administration of China. It is a privilege to share with you Singapore's approach towards internet governance. And in fact, as you will hear from my presentation later, it is a fast evolving one that is also adapting to the vicissitudes of the recent users of the internet and the problems that it poses. I propose to start by first outlining some basic principles that set the stage for the approach to the governance of the internet in Singapore. First, Singapore is an open society. We have done our growth, trade, finance, multiculturalism, and multilateralism. And in fact, Singapore is one of the most connected countries in the world. 93.2% of our residents have broadband, and up to 166% of our population have mobile phones. I was really puzzled by this number until I realized that there are 6 phones amongst the 4 family members that I have. So this statistic is indeed true. Furthermore, we have been a firm believer in the free and open access to information, which we believe are key to education, research, and innovation. So one of the underlying premises behind our concepts towards internet governance is that fundamentally don't believe in the monitoring of user access to information. But at the same time, there has to be some minimal light touch across the board content regulation approach that has to be adopted for all information that is accessible in Singapore. So since 1996, we have regulated content providers via something called an Internet Code of Practice. The way the Internet Code of Practice works is that it defines a category known as prohibited materials. These are materials defined to be contrary to public interest, public morality, public order, public security, and national harmony, or prohibited by applicable Singapore laws in Singapore's multicultural society. As you can see, the focus is on the fact that as a multicultural society, we have to take steps, sometimes serious ones, to ensure that our multicultural society is stable and is not disturbed. So some of the factors taken into account in prohibiting material that can be accessed in Singapore include pornography, materials pertaining to sexual violence, materials pertaining to extreme violence or cruelty, and materials that tend to incite ethnic, racial, or religious hatred, strife, or intolerance. Having given ourselves a very broad definition of prohibited materials, in practice, our internet service providers only restrict access to about 200 mass impact websites and prevent these websites from being accessed in Singapore. From our research, most of these prohibited websites are pornographic in nature, and others pertain to content that are harmful to Singapore's racial or religious harmony or against national interests. As far as our internet content providers are concerned, we encourage them to exhibit or exercise self-regulation by not hosting fora and programs that contain prohibited material, and where the content pertains to news websites and political websites, we require these websites to be registered. So as you can see, the level of internet regulation for these internet content websites is largely minimal. That was until recently. In 2022, we discovered that there is a growing phenomenon where the internet websites are blurred in their usage, in that we can have online communication service providers that also provide content which are done essentially via point-to-point and point-to-multipoint communications. If I describe to you social media services for communications, such as those done by Facebook, TikTok, X, and YouTube, you will understand what I mean. Because many of these platforms are designed to actually communicate from individual to individual, sometimes harmful and inappropriate content. To deal with this situation, we passed a new law in 2022 called the Online Safety Miscellaneous Amendments Act to address this category of harmful and inappropriate content, which we define to include sexual content, violent content, suicide and self-harm content, cyberbullying content, content endangering public health, and content facilitating vice and organized crimes. These platforms that I just discussed under our new laws are required to establish content rules and employ content moderation to filter out such content, especially protect children from accessing such content. Users are also empowered to report the availability of such content to the authorities, and these websites are required to publish their annual online safety reports to show that they are compliant with laws. The COVID incident at the turn of the decade has given rise to a new phenomenon called online falsehoods. And to deal with this particular problem, we had to enact one particular piece of legislation to deal with this. And this is where there are online falsehoods that contain false statements of fact or misleading information that have a tendency from a public interest perspective to affect public health, safety, tranquility, public confidence, public finances, preventing ill will between different groups, preventing the influence on elections, the security of Singapore, and relations with other countries. This piece of legislation that we enacted, called the Protection from Online Falsehoods and Manipulation Act of 2019, or POFMA in short, is designed to allow the government to respond by issuing what are known as correction notices to counteract these posts. Companies that host these posts are required to also post the Singapore government's correction notices to counteract the falsehoods that are contained in these posts. The advantages of such a mechanism are that because we do not go through the courts, but go through a government system, the response of the government can be very fast, sometimes within a matter of hours or days, and they're designed really to combat serious falsehoods, such as falsehoods arising from the COVID-19 incident and various other falsehoods uh, claimed against government ministers, institutions, and policies. You can find a vast majority of these correction notices targeted at Facebook content posted by users. In another recent initiative in this regard, we have enacted two additional pieces of laws to deal with the issue of harassment and online crimes. I'll focus on the Online Criminal Harms Act of 2023, where in essence, we enacted this new piece of law to deal with online child sex exploitation, job investment, product scams, and phishing attempts. Under this new law, directions can be issued by the government authorities to various online service providers where there is a reasonable suspicion that there is some kind of online activity perpetuated on the online service providers' services or content in furtherance of a commission of an offense. So for instance, if there is a post page that is used for phishing or other types of scams, the authorities can issue orders to the online service providers to block the content, to disable the content, or to prevent the content from being accessed by people in Singapore. Last but not least, on the issue of personal information and cybersecurity, we have, as many other countries in the world, a Personal Data Protection Act that seeks to regulate the collection, use, and disclosure of personal data by organizations, and it recognizes the rights of individuals to protect their personal data, especially in the online environment. The Act also regulates the cross-border data flows that will pertain to Singapore as a trading hub and exchange of data between Singapore and other countries in the world, as well as a Cybersecurity Act that is designed to preemptively prevent, manage, and respond to cybersecurity threats and incidents, and by also regulating owners of critical information infrastructure. So in conclusion, Singapore's experiences in this regard have been largely as a result of our experiences from initially starting with a minimal platform for regulating content online by way of prohibited materials, but as online platforms develop and evolve into communications platforms to enable private individuals to communicate, we have to expand our concept of regulation to include harmful and inappropriate content, such as content that promotes suicide and self-harm or cyberbullying, to ensure that our masses are protected. At the same time, we have to update our laws to deal with online falsehoods and also to protect personal data and cybersecurity. But amongst all these regulations that are put in place, it is still very important for the government to put in place various public education measures to educate the public on both the advantages and disadvantages of accessing information online, and to teach its population to be discerning in its proper use. So on that note, thank you very much, and I look forward to the opportunity to hear from the other speakers and of course to learn about developments around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Daniel, for your wonderful words. Now I give the floor to the next speaker, Mr. He Bo, Director of Research Center for Internet Law, China Academy of Information and Communication Technology. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm He Bo from China Academy of Information and Communication Technology. Thanks for the invitation of Cyberspace Administration of China. It's so delighted to participate in today's discussion. Just now, we have several professors mentioned that we should find out the specific issues of data governance. So today, I would like to discuss the design of legal system for data governance in the era of artificial intelligence. As we know, with the fast development of the wide application of AI technology, data has become the most important factor. When we come into the era of large language model, which also called LLM, the development of AI is shifting from being model-centric to data-centric, and data resources have become the most core and fundamental elements in the development of AI. In order to promote the health development of AI, it is particularly important to build a more suitable ecosystem. However, the breakthrough development of AI technology, especially we know the AIGC, has posed a huge demand for high-quality data. But the existing data governance rules and regulations have not been adjusted in time, which leading to issues such as data being unusable and difficult to use, have restricted the development of the AI technology and the industry. Facing the development needs of the new generation of AI, we should promote, adjust, and improve the relevant legal rules. Firstly, it is necessary to improve the data security rules to resolve the problem of data being unusable. During the fast development of AI, the legal use of data has become an issue that urgently needs to be resolved. Laws and regulations around the world, just now a professor from Singapore also mentioned that many laws have made clear provisions regarding data security protection, data collection, and data use. For instance, many laws prohibit any individuals or organizations from engaging in activities that endanger cybersecurity, such as stealing data online. The GDPR of EU, among others, also has clearly defined the legal basis for processing personal data. However, with the rapid development of AI technology, issues such as the lawful use of public available personal information have become a very important question. But the relevant rules have not been adjusted at the same time, which leads the LM may face the legal problems with and using data. For example, it is still unclear whether we're using public available personal information as a training data for LLM is legal or not. Therefore, it is recommended to further improve the system for the reasonable use of data. The mere clarifying whether it is legal to use public personal information as training data, formulating rules, standards, and guidelines for personal information protection issues in different stages, such as the training, generation, and application of the large language models. Secondly, it is essential to establish the comprehensive rules for data sharing and circulation to resolve the use of data being insufficient. Only when data circulates can value be created. And it is also an important way for the LM companies to get data. Data sharing and circulation are the key to unlocking the value of data. However, at present, we can see there are still problems in aspects such as data sharing, data training, and data openness. For example, there is a lack of effective incentive mechanism for data sharing among companies. which limits the ability for of the small companies to access data. Many leading AI companies, they are also the traditional large internet company or the big platform companies. They have collected a large amount of data resources through their existing internet service and use their own data to train models. Thereby, they can forming a competitive advantage in their development. But some LM companies restrict other small companies from accessing and using their data, which may become a barrier for startup companies and small companies. To solve this issue of insufficient data resources, it is recommended to strengthen the policy guidance, encourage and support leading companies to open and share the valuable data. Meanwhile, it is also recommended to open and share valuable data. Thirdly, improve the quality management rules to resolve the problem of data being inefficient. Data quality directly determines the development level of AI, and high-quality data is the core for improving the accuracy, stability, and interoperability of models. High-quality datasets can help large AI models gain a deeper understanding of different concepts, semantics, and grammatic structures, which can significantly enhance the value of large models. Currently, the requirement for data quality management mainly focus on industry soft norms, while the relevant laws and regulations doesn't have much provision on data quality. To some extent, this has affected the equality and the efficiency of the training of the large language models. Therefore, it is recommended to build and improve the rules for the quality management of training data, formulate data quality management standards, and refrain the specific requirement for training data in terms of accuracy, objectivity, and diversity. That's all my speech. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, Mr. He. Now let's turn to Mr. Zhao Jingwu as Associate Professor at Law School of Beihang University. Please.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests. It's my honor to have the opportunity to give a little speech here. I'm Zhao Jingwu from Beihang University. What I would like to talk today is a small question. It's how to ensuring the security of cross-border data flow through the legal instruments. Well, cross-border data flows is not just a matter of domestic data security regulation and the commercial utilizations. So, but it's also complex issues that affect the promotion of global digital economy. Well, in recent years, we can see that more and more countries, religions, and international organizations, well, including China, have tried to explore the safe and trustworthy model for cross-border data flow through domestic legislations. So, however, at the same time, there are also many controversies need to be solved urgently. In this context, China has development the promoting of governance path of cross-border data flows. However, there is a misleading in the international governance activities, which is to encourage the cross-border data flow without restriction. Perhaps their original intention was to achieve a bordered and more efficiency data flow effect. But the key is they fail to understand the relationship between the security and the data flows. It's worth mentioning that in the Article 1 of data security law in China, the governance idea of data is to ensure data security and promoting data development and utilization. Well, in summary, it means that we should pay equal attention to the safety and the utilizations. So we agree that blindly pursues cross-border data flows without paying attention to the data security not only fail to realize the exchange value of data, but also it greatly security risks such as data linkage and theft. These kind of situations may happen in the future. So in the international communities, there is also a view that China follows the data controlism path, which essentially politicalize the issues of the data securities. That is because we don't have a unified standard for the international cross-border data flows around the world. While mutualization corporations always have to complying with the different domestic laws and the international agreements. So there is no denying that the international data security and the personal privacy are generally recognized the first and the priority premise for the cross-border data flows. So furthermore, across the globe, we can see that there is no country allowed cross-border data flow without any conditions. So, and most countries, domestic law put data security or national security at the first and the important part. So what I want to emphasize is China's insistence on the open and comprehensive governance model for cross-border data flows is not an empty word. China domestic law has clearly defined 4 categories of rules for the cross-border data flows, which including security assignment of outbound data transfer, standard contract for the cross-border transfer of personal information, and the third-party security certifications and special rules for the personal and other species of special areas. So all above these rules are supported by the comprehensive law and the regulations. So in March 2024, China issued the regulation on promoting and regulating cross-border data flows. This purpose is to formulating the regulation. It further clarifies the applicable laws in the processing of cross-border data flows, and further it's mentioned how to promote the orders of free flows on the data. Regulating cross-border data flows, and we such as a lot of conditions were considered in this area. So we consider the international trade, cross-border transportation, and academic cooperations, and others like manufacturing and areas. So China also released the Global Data Cross-border Flows Cooperation Controversy this year. So this document clarifies China's position and how to some more useful solution to solve this kind of problems. So in order to truly and efficiently resolve the institutional conflicts, we have enhanced the trustworthiness and the confidence multi-parties in carrying out international data cooperations. So China's supervision system for the cross-border data flows is not just an empty word, and it's not just simply to restrict data expert, but we can see that it is also trying to make a better protect and promoting data area experts. So China legislation has established a diverse channel for cross-border data flows, just as I mentioned before. It's not just only try to catering the market demands of a value industry and enterprise. So finally, I hope we can reach a consensus that in the future that the governance of cross-border data flow cannot ignore the data security, nor can we set too many restrictions for securities. So this concept for the security and the utilizations is in China data governance system is both two important parts. So I think in the future we will find a wisdom and approaching way to solve the problem of cross-border data flows. That is all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Zhao, for your wonderful insights sharing. Now I give the floor to next speaker, Mr. Gao Huandong, Vice President of Lenovo Group. Please.
Thank you, Professor Wu. Distinguished fellow speakers, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Gao Huandong from Lenovo Group. It's my great pleasure and honor to participate in this forum with the theme on legalization of data governance. The year of 2024 marks the 10th anniversary of Chinese President Xi's proposal for the strategy of building China as a great cyber state. Looking back over the past decade, the internet and the digital economy has flourished and become an important engine on social progress and economic development, both in China and around the world. We have realized that the high-quality data governance is essential to the high-quality development of the digital economy, and compliance is the foundation of data governance. Therefore, Lenovo Group has made tremendous efforts in data security and privacy protection over the last few years. Today, I would like to quickly share Lenovo's practice in data security and privacy protection in China for further discussion with experts presented today. Lenovo China's data security and privacy governance framework basically consists of 5 building blocks. One is governance structure. The second is process and guidelines. And the third is key work streams. And the fourth is how we use technology to safeguard data security and privacy. And the fifth is culture awareness and internal education. This framework is in line with Lenovo's strategy, Smart AI for All, and reflects our mission in data security and privacy governance, security for the future. Our first building block is so-called governance structure. Why? Simply because data security and privacy protection for a company like us has more than 1,000 systems. It's an astonishing and a giant project. How to deal with this resources issue? We set up a Lenovo China Data Security and Privacy Protection Committee as a virtual team since the end of 2021 under the leadership of Lenovo China Security Committee. This virtual team has 3 standing sub-committees, namely Data Security Team, Privacy Compliance Team, and the Data Cross-Border Transfer Team for collective decision-making, and another one ad hoc emergency response team forming this so-called 3+1 structure. The committee has adopted its bylaw, and all of our operational activities are strictly in compliance with the bylaw. And the committee normally has a bi-monthly committee to discuss important issues and drive collective efforts for critical projects. Key to success of this committee is the cross-functional collaboration. Up to now, the committee has more than 200 representatives or focals, serving as ambassadors of more than 40 internal business units and functions. The committee also trained over more than 100 data compliance specialists as the frontline compliance team. And the committee has been coordinating and working closely with Lenovo China ESG Committee and AI Compliance Committee, both of which I'm also driving in Lenovo China. Let's move to the second building block, process and guidelines. Based on national legislation, administrative regulations, and the Lenovo Group policies, our committee has drafted and issued more than 40 guidelines and playbooks covering 8 practical areas. For example, data cross-border transfer, data categorization and classification, and AI compliance, etc. The guidelines and playbooks helped us to implement detailed rules in routine data security and privacy protection, governance on daily basis. Our third building block is about 5 work streams of the committee, which we normally roll out annually. The first 3 are initiated at the forefront and will be deep dived continuously. Among these 3 working streams, data inventory mapping is the cornerstone, and the data cross-border transfer is the key challenge. Privacy protection is always our top priority. At the same time, we are exploring and navigating another 2 new work streams. One is AI data security governance, and the other is how to utilize data as an asset. These 2 issues are also very hot topics in this forum. The fourth building block of our data security and privacy protection governance is how to use technology to safeguard data and privacy efficiently. I only take one example, the AI guardrail tool developed by Lenovo. This picture illustrates how this tool works in large language model scenario. In enterprise privacy domain, the guardrail can identify more than 17 types of personal identifiable information and sensitive personal information. In order to block them from inputting to the large language model and protect our customers' privacy, this tool can also realize the identification and rejection of data on the basis of self-defined keywords. Last but not least is the cultural awareness and the internal education. Lenovo has established a training program of data compliance specialists, all of whom come from the business team. The training program is a closed loop with 4 steps. The committee will train more than 100 specialists by providing a series of professional courses on data security governance and the 5 work streams of the committee. Then the specialists practice relevant rules in their daily work while they have learned in step 1. Then the committee will randomly check and inspect what they have implemented in practice and provide improvement advice. The last step is to recognize and award those specialists who contribute significant to the committee. So, what I just mentioned is the primary governance framework and the practice of Lenovo China data security and privacy protection. Again, we as a China-based multinational company and a leading technology company are very honored to have this opportunity to share our thoughts and practice on data security and privacy governance under our AI for All strategy. A company's internal data governance should be strictly in compliance with rule of laws, both in China and other jurisdictions, to ensure the products and services we provided are secure, reliable, and trustable. We have been learning from international advanced data governance experiences and the best practice on one hand, and on the other hand, we will continue striving for a more rule of law approach, thereby contributing to the healthy and sustainable development of the global digital economy. That's all, and thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President Gao. Now let's turn to Mr. Li Wen, Vice President of ZTE Corporation. Please.
Thanks, host Professor Wu. Okay. Distinguished guest and expert, good afternoon. I am Li Wen from ZT Corporation. It is a great pleasure to share with you the practice and exploration of ZT's data compliance governance at this meeting. Thank you for your trust and support. You know, in the last few years, the new generation of information technology, such as cloud computing, big data, and AI, have promoted and integrated each other. And fields like smart cities, smart transportation, and smart medical care have developed rapidly. And the human society is moving towards a better future of digital intelligence. As the global leading provider of comprehensive communication solutions since 1985 and serving customers more than 160 countries and regions worldwide, ZTE will always adhere to its vision to enable connectivity and trust everywhere. In 2016, ZTE had launched a comprehensive digital intelligence transformation from process-driven to data-driven, and we are dedicated to build an ultimate cloudified company with fully cloud-based, intelligent, and lightweight workflow. Releasing the value of data is the key element of corporate innovation, development, and management in the digital intelligence era. But the premise is to ensure the data security and compliance. After the effective of GDPR in EU in 2018, more than 160 countries or regions in the world have formulated data protection laws and regulations. And China has also established the data protection legal framework with the 3 laws of the cybersecurity law, the data security law, and the personal information protection law at the core. Against this background, ZTE attached great importance. Against this background, ZTE attaches great importance to data security and privacy protection, strictly abide by the relevant laws and regulations, and continuous implement data compliance governance, and devote to forming a virtuous cycle of value creation for compliance. The construction of ZTE's data compliance governance system follows the risk-oriented methodology. It is based on management commitment, staffing, and organizational structure, and is carried out in 6 aspects, including the establishment of system and rules, risk monitoring, risk assessment, personnel training, security audits, and incident response to ensure data compliance of business activities. For example, as we know, cross-border data transfer is a high-risk data processing activities. ZTE is one of the first batch of the companies in China to apply for data export security assessment in accordance with the relevant national requirement. And in early this year, 2024, we obtained the approval from the Cyberspace Administration of China for the export of the reported personal information. ZTE has conducted a special audit on the implementation of its signed data transfer contract to evaluate and verify the effectiveness of the company's cross-border data compliance program. In order to further improve the efficiency and the quality of data compliance management, ZTE has developed a data compliance system which integrated the Privacy Center APP, privacy compliance scanning, data protection impact assessment, the data leakage response, and so on. This data compliance system can display the data compliance management in real time and dynamically, and realize the data compliance management digitization, and also to provide a practical basis for the data intelligence transformation of companies' compliance management. ZTE continues to pay attention to authoritative certification for data security and personal information protection. Currently, our related product and service had been certified by ISO IEC 27701 2019's Privacy Information Management System, European e-privacy, and US Justice certification, which indicate that ZTE has reached the international advanced level in privacy protection, technology, and management ability, and is able to help global customers enter the area of digital intelligence more comfortable. In recent years, China had stepped up its efforts to cultivate and build the market of data element, which put forward high requirement for the data compliance management of enterprise. And it is necessary for enterprise to adjust the strategy and the key point of the data compliance management dynamically according to the change of legislation, policy, and business development. On the one hand, enterprise still need to perfect its data compliance management system continuously. On the other hand, also need to pay more attention to the new data compliance challenge that face in the digital intelligence area, such as AI training, data security compliance, algorithm governance, data transaction compliance, data competition compliance, and so on. 2024 is the year of the deepening development of China's digital economy, and also a year for ZTE's data compliance governance to move forward steadily. In the coming 2025, ZTE will stick to its role as the driver of digital economy, fully promote the deep integration of data intelligence business development and data compliance, create value by compliance, and contribute wisdom to a better digital intelligence society. The above is my sharing today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. the and thank all the speakers of this Day Zero event. This is not the final session. This is the beginning, and I think we can have more possibility and more chance to deepen our insights sharing in the next steps, not only for the legal system but also for the so-called legal ecology. So thank all of you, and today we stop here. See you next time. Thank you.